everybody. Thank you for showing up. It's nice to see a good crowd of citizens here that are concerned about our town and public safety. And so public safety is high on our list, if not number one on our list, I would say, for the city. And so that's why we're having this get together. And we want to hear from you as far as what types of traffic calming devices you'd be interested in. We do have a lot of complaints, to be honest with you, from different neighborhoods that have the long 25-mile-an-hour roads of people speeding. And I know people like to walk their dogs, they like to get out and walk, and it's really, it's dangerous if people don't slow down and do the speed limit or even less. So we wanted to hear from the public to tell us what they think is a good idea or what they might want to see on their streets. So with that, I'm going to have Becky come up, and she's going to go over the different items that are on the list there. We have handouts for everybody. If you don't have a handout, there's some in the back. Please get one and explain some things on that. So here's Becky, our project manager.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to go over some of the traffic calming devices that are in the packet. And then I'll talk a little bit about the estimate that we got for the speed humps. And a lot of the traffic calming devices, the information is in here. I'm going to read more of the information because I'm not as familiar with the rest of the items as I am with the speed humps, because I've spent more time with them, getting more information. So starting with the speed humps, because that's the first one on here. Speed humps are rounded with raised edges. Think of them basically as a wider, lower speed bump is what they are. And the ones that we would look at doing if we were to do them in town would have notches in them so that first responders would be able to, ambulances, fire trucks, straddle them so that they wouldn't be slowed down and could still get to whatever emergency they were going to without having to slow down to go over these speed humps. They're also called speed cushions when they're lower, so you might hear them referred to as a speed cushion as well. We had an engineer do a proposal for them, and I'll get to that in a little bit as well. Humps work best on roads with slower speed limits and require multiple humps in a series. It's been studied, and WSDOT and federal government and city transportation specialists recommend not spacing them apart further than 500 feet, 600 max. Our engineers are recommending 500 feet. If they're spaced apart farther than 500 feet, cars in between each speed hump at that point can go faster than 25 to 35 miles per hour. So at that point, there was really no reason to install those speed humps. So that's where the distance in between each speed hump becomes relative. The proposal or the estimate that we got from the engineers for the speed humps doesn't include engineering fees or the markings or signage. It was to go down Dolphin because that is where that's the street that we've gotten the most requests. So to go from end to end on Dolphin Avenue, the cost would be $134,000 for 17 street humps. And again, that's just an estimate, and that's about $7,900 per street hump. So just to give an idea of what the cost would be to take on a project like that, there are other options. There's plastic versions of these speed humps. There are speed bumps that are less asphalt, but to do what we've heard is requested from residents, this is the best option to put in that location. Other items that are here, because we really want to hear from everybody now that we have that estimate. We want to hear from the residents of Ocean Shores after putting out that estimate, and other options is the chicanes. On this next page, there's a picture of what the chicanes are. So chicanes create a zigzag pattern that alternate with alternating curves to disturb a straight path of the roadway. It would require motorists to steer back and forth in order to navigate the road, causing speed reductions and more caution during driving. What we're not sure of is if the roads are wide enough for the chicanes, not sure if it would be even possible to put them in. I'm sure we have some roads where it's not possible at all to put them in, but that is one option. That is a traffic calming device. To even have this as a possibility, we would need to have an engineer look to see how wide the roads are, what it would require to do that. One option is more signs, you know. Do we add more stop signs at the intersections? Do we add more slow down signs? Other signs that may be available that we could put up? Traffic circles is the next traffic calming device option that's pictured here. Traffic circles are really only available to be put in an intersection. They can be really pretty, they can dress up a neighborhood, but they're really only good in an intersection. And the last that we have on here is the chokers. The chokers are good. I was talking to Sean Pease from our street department today about these. Chokers are really meant to be put at the ends of the street where you would enter from Ocean Lake Way, or I can't even think of what the street is down at the other end. And they're meant to deter larger trucks or larger vehicles from going down the street. And Sean mentioned, well, the larger trucks, when they are turning down some of the other roads, they just run right over my curbs and break them, so I think they're gonna go right over the chokers anyway. So that's some of the feedback I've already gotten from our street department on the chokers. But that's some of the calming devices that I have. While we're here tonight, if you don't already know, there are some voting pamphlets back there to vote on these items, and then we're also asking that any other ideas of calming devices that you've got, call them out and let us know. The conversation is open, that's why we're here, so, thank you.
Thanks. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask?
Hi, I know we have a lot of anecdotal data. Do we have any factual data to support any of these? Have there been studies done? About 10, how many years ago? 15 years ago, we reduced the speed limit 5 miles per hour throughout town. That was preceded by a lengthy and very intense set of data that was collected that signified that this is what we need. I look at this and I think, man, I can see a whole lot of things on our roads that we need. But do we have a speeding problem? I live on Duck Lake Drive. Yes, there are occasional speeders. I can almost tell you who they are. But for the most part, people are in the vicinity. They're within the speed limit or very little over. What factual basis do we have to proceed with this?
Okay, we've got the radar signs there on Dolphin, and so we're collecting that information on that. It shows the speed limit. Have you seen those, Lillian?
Is it on Overlake?
No, it's on Dolphin. We've heard from a lot of people on Dolphin that try to walk their dogs, and the speeding on there, that's a main road, even though it shouldn't be a main road, because people take it to the post office. I've had people pass me when I'm doing 25 on that road. So we do have some serious issues with safety. We have not done a traffic study on that.
Are we going to?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up on that, to be honest with you. I'm going to take the information off of those radar speed limit signs that's been collected. So we're going to look at that. And that's really I've heard a little bit from some of the people about Sand Dune and another couple other street canals, yes, on that. So, when you've got 50 people on Dolphin telling you there's a problem, I'm gonna try to address that for them. And so that's what's going on here. So, we got somebody else?
Thank you. I have a few questions. I think your humps are a great idea. How long, question number one is, once they're put in, is there a limit on how long they actually last or the cost for repairs? Number two, I do believe that we have a lot of speeding going on in this town. And I think if we took a look at the statistics the police department is showing, they are ticketing a few more people and stopping a few more people. For a fact, there is a lot of speeding in this town because they seem to get away with it. Number two, hi, thank you. Number three, I know that Dolphin has a problem. Because I drive that myself, and I like the stop signs. The downtown area, what we call the downtown area, we have a lot of speeding where supposedly we have people walking, going across the streets, and the stoplight may help there, the sidewalk light, but would it hurt if we put 3 or 4 in the downtown area? And I don't mean every 500 feet. To me, that seems a little excessive, but that's what the engineers are recommending, so they have the degree and we'll listen to them. But downtown, I would highly recommend a little bit of those bumps downtown. Thank you.
Something like rumble strips maybe for downtown, that's something we can think about. I can write that down. That may be something that might work for a diversion to slow downtown. Remind me to write that down if you don't see me write it down. Okay. The maintenance piece, Sarah had asked about that the other day. The biggest maintenance piece on this is gonna be the thermoplastic markings for it. And I think probably for 17, about, what did we say, $15,000 to $20,000 based on what the cost is to redo the roundabout. And the roundabout is 15-ish years old. So they would probably last longer than the roundabout because they're gonna have less traffic, they're gonna be less traveled. So worst case scenario, $15,000 to $20,000 every 20 years. And then street preservation pavement-wise, it would be preserved just as often as Dolphin needs its street preservation and would just be picked up on that cycle with our master plan for our streets that we're working on.
And just to add one more thing, you have to have those, according to the engineers, so many feet apart, or they actually do not slow down traffic. That's what we've been told.
My question would be if the humps, the bumps are needed, is there a way or possibility of designing them so that you can go over them at the speed limit comfortably? I'm sure everybody's been in areas where you go over those things and you have to slow down to 10 miles an hour to get over them comfortably. I would just consider the design, the shape, and the engineering so that you can drive the speed limit and go over them comfortably.
They work pretty good for 20 to 25 miles an hour because it's very gradual. So it's not like the speed bumps, let's say at Oyhut, that you gotta almost come to a stop and, bounce over them. So they're designed for, the speed that you're driving is what we've been told.
I got a curiosity question. If those are designed so the ambulances can go around them, what's to prevent some young kid from just stomping on it and doing the same thing? Going around the speed bumps and not slowing down at all?
Well, I would guess there's not any, They're wider? I'm sorry, they're wider on that, Dennis.
Okay.
So the fire trucks can pass through there.
Hi, I'm sorry. You can answer.
Just real quick, the trucks don't go around. There's notches in between them in the middle, and the trucks are the right width, but only the first responder trucks are that width, I guess. He's gonna say no.
can address it.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that would be great, thank you.
I worked with the city of Tukwila, and they had these different kinds of speed humps there. The speed cushions are totally non-effective to any large vehicles like four-wheel drive trucks. I saw a fire truck go over 140 miles an hour, it just glides right over like nothing. And most cars, and these lower cars, well, the people who are talking about, they have lower cars, just nice classic cars, sports cars are low. They're great. You can go over them 20 miles an hour pretty nicely. The problem is that the kids and the race car guys and whatnot, they'll go over them like they're not even there. They don't care. I'm on Mount Olympus, by the way, and we have a long stretch there, and I live on a blind corner, and I've almost got hit coming out of my driveway multiple times, and I look both ways. So it's really bad there. We're getting problems with the dump trucks and the carrying sand and gravel and whatnot to the ends. They don't go on Point Brown. I don't know why. They come down Ocean Lake and come down Canal and down Mount Olympus. Probably because there's no traffic enforcement down there. I'll tell you about the whole thing I learned from Tukwila is that none of this stuff, signage, put little stick figures on the painting that costs a fortune. We talked about it till we were blue in the face. It doesn't do a dang bit of good. The only thing that does any good is enforcement. You gotta write tickets. And that's my opinion on it through lots of years of seeing it happen.
All right, thanks. I will say that enforcement has been picked up, and a lot of people have been getting pulled over, and the tickets have at least doubled that have been written now. So, you know, the police department's trying to take care of that stuff. So, and I appreciate that about them, because really that's the best thing, is the right tickets, because that hurts you in the pocketbook, and then you tell your friends you got one, and they tell their friends, and people are looking out for, you know, the speed limit because they don't want to get a ticket. I lived close to Black Diamond, and I'll tell you, you didn't go over 25 when you hit that sign, because they wrote a lot of tickets there. Yeah, it went from 45 to 25. You better be doing 25 when you went in there.
Instead of spending the money on that, which doesn't seem to be effective, like he said, I know it'd probably be a little bit more money, but why not spend the money on sidewalks in the areas that we need it?
Well, that'd be a lot more money.
A lot more money.
But,
And it would be safer.
yeah, it would be. You're right. So, I mean, that's why we're having this meeting, to hear what y'all want to have done.
Okay, so, couple things. One thing is when people quote studies that were done 5 or 10 years ago, that doesn't cut it for today, because the city's grown, and the population's grown, and the traffic problems have grown. So old studies don't cut it, and if you're gonna need a study, then you gotta get a new one. Can't rely on what the past one said. Critique on the humps. Don't make them like what they got at Oyhut. Those things are like hitting a frickin' curb. So you need to have a good design so, you know, they're easy to traverse. And also, the guy that was talking about Mount Olympus, I'm on Mount Olympus, and I'm out there in my front yard daily playing with the dogs or doing yard work. And I swear to God, I see people going by 50, 60 miles an hour. And the dump trucks and the gravel trucks, they're some of the worst ones. But I see it from all sorts of vehicles, and young kids, older people. It doesn't matter what the, you know, who you are. They like to speed on Mount Olympus for some reason. And I think we need to, that needs to be another street that needs to be addressed, because it's getting pretty bad up there. It's been a couple times I almost get hit when I go out to get my mail. So something needs to be done there.
Well, thank you for that. The whole idea of this speed humps, speed cushions is the police can't be everywhere. So we're looking for anything that'll slow things down and be safer for everybody. But you know, we want to do what you guys want done. So we will take your consideration. There's a thing back there to vote on what you'd like to see done. So please fill those out and let us know.
Yeah, hi Brian, thank you. Just a, that's not just a possible concern. 17 speed bumps on Dolphin, wouldn't that just, once the chronic speeders become aware of that, they'd just be diverted over to Canal Drive?
Well, that can happen, I'm not saying we don't need them on Canal too, but the thing is, we have a lot of people.
Because the thing where you're chasing your tail, and then you're gonna have speed humps all over town. Seems to me what this gentleman over here said regarding signage and enforcement, a whole lot cheaper and potentially quite a bit more effective, especially once the word gets out.
From what I've read in doing the traffic calming device research that I've done is that it will divert traffic to the streets on either side of Dolphin. And then in the other cities that have done this, they have done exactly that. The calming devices go on the streets until then you eventually get to the main road. And most of the time when cities or towns do this, their goal is exactly that. And it is not always to slow people down, but it is to move traffic out of the residential neighborhoods and onto the main roads like Point Brown. So that's another consideration. Do we want all of that traffic moved to Point Brown? Maybe we do want it out of the neighborhoods. I don't live on Dolphin, I don't live on Canal, I don't see it every day. I drive it sometimes because I work in the collections yard, so I do see it, but I mean, those are some of the considerations and conversations, right? Like, do we want all of that traffic on Point Brown? Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
The other Red. My son lives in downtown Redmond and they have calming devices. And after this conversation started up, I went and spent a day and a half with him. And we walked down to a coffee shop that's like on a big intersection in downtown and they've got these all over. I just sat and watched and I talked to him a little about it. They seem to help in downtown Redmond. And I also go visit people I know in Olympia and on the you know, off the main streets in Olympia, they use the chokers and traffic circles both. What I seem to notice there is the residents go, they're like four-wheel drifting around the traffic circles, but the people that are residents slow down and use them properly. But you know, I think one thing that people, let's not do this, let's not do that, it's too expensive. One thing you have to keep in the back of your mind is what is the cost of a lawsuit if somebody gets run over by a speeder in our town and we get sued? What's the cost of that? My guess is these calming devices would be extremely less expensive long term.
My question is just, I understand phone calls came in regarding Dolphin, and since we've been coming to these meetings every council session, Dolphin's been talked about. So is it the deal where the whole squeaky wheel thing, so because it happens on that road, they have all of those little yellow dots that are gonna slow them down while the other roads are getting just as much speeding done on them? I mean, this isn't in stone, right? This is just a possibility it would all go to Dolphin.
That was just an example to
Okay.
show. We haven't decided to do anything. That's why we're having this here today.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not just Dolphin.
Right.
Jane?
Yes, so there is a major speeding problem. I am on Canal, there are many residents on Canal. You know, it is Dolphin. Dolphin, I wouldn't say Dolphins get preferential, they just have been at it a long time to get something done on their street. Just today, I'm walking my dogs with my husband, and I have a person pull off a Dolphin doing a burnout, coming at me, speeding up, coming at me, walking my dogs. I have nowhere to go except jump in a ditch. So as they're coming at me, I'm going slow down, slow down, slow down. And the person proceeds to stop in the middle of the road, get out, and try and start an altercation with my husband. You know, so I'm for the speed humps, but I'm also for, I've asked for a long time if we could have officers. I know we have a very large geographical area. I know Dolphin and Canal are not the only streets that are having problems. But if we could have officers sit on these cul-de-sacs and radar and just do different, ones on Dolphin, one's on Canal, and start moving around the town and doing different areas and doing the sitting and radaring and writing tickets. Sit there all day because it happens all day long. There's hours in the morning that are more, when we have more speeders, or hours in the afternoon. But just start doing that once a week in a different area and moving around and writing the tickets, because I really do think that will help make a difference. But it is getting worse and worse every day. So it would be nice, I'd love to hear everybody's ideas on something we could do, because it is a definite safety problem.
Thanks.
You can run around, that's fine. There was a hand.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the squeaky wheel on Dolphin Avenue Northeast. I have worked on this project for 2.5 years now. The straw that broke the camel's back originally was to see a truck convoy, wide load ahead, coming down our street. Dolphin is not a legal truck route for numerous reasons. I've done tons of research, and Becky has been wonderful in accepting this research that I have found over 2.5 years. What I have found is that the bottom line is the signage does not work, but street design does. And I have found this research from all over the planet, from the cute little town in Italy to, I don't know, Nome, Alaska, for example. It all over the United States, Portland, they have instituted these traffic calming devices depending upon the street and the need. The bottom line for us on Dolphin is that we need to make it unappealing. And you know what? I don't care if that kid is speeding down Dolphin and wrecks his car going over those speed cushions. I don't care. That's his problem. But it needs, we have so much traffic and illegal trucks still abusing our road. Some of our neighbors just finished paying off the last road lid. And now I sure hope we're not going to get another one. And people joke about driving down Dolphin because it's like they're on a little mini cruise ship. They're going up and down and sideways and trying to control the waves. It's insane. And I really appreciated Frank installing those stop signs at Albatross. We did get the radar signs, I'm sorry, I can't remember, about a year ago. Unfortunately, I don't think those have been effective. That's what my neighbors have said. They get past it and then they take off again. And they don't have cameras in them, so unfortunately that doesn't help. And I'm sure the stop signs, they're great, but it hasn't been effective. I think it was about a year ago, we had the traffic counters, the tube counters across the road. I was never able to find out the results because I don't think the powers that be at the time really believed us. I did get 60 signatures on the petition from our Dolphin residents. So that's what this squeaky wheel has been doing, because we're really, really serious about it. We just want it to become unappealing. The speed cushions will allow our emergency vehicles to go through, which is great. And I know that you folks want to do the asphalt kind, which is great. I know that the recycled rubber ones also can work, and they do have a long life. They do cost less. I don't know if you'd be willing to make us the the guinea pig child of town, but I sure hear a lot of people here saying, you know, we need it too. And I'm thinking that visitors and residents alike need to be informed when they come in through those gates. Hey, we're not gonna put up with this. This is a nice town and we wanna keep it safe and fun for everybody. And let it be known when they come through those gates and those trucks come through those gates that there could be a sign pointing them right away to Ocean Lake Boulevard, which is a designated truck route, as is Point Brown. The trucks haul down and then they turn right at Ocean Lake and then they go over to Point Brown. We know this, we follow them. So we wanted the proof. So anyway, thank you so much for working on this, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Better get up in a second, Kenny.
Thank you. Given all that we've heard tonight, and we're often hearing that we would like to have more police officers to feel safer, I would ask that the city council talk about in their upcoming budget sessions how much it would cost to have more police officers that will be able to do the enforcement. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Am I on? What about bigger signs and cameras? And check the cameras every night and write tickets to the ones that go speeding down any of the streets. And I'm assuming that the city has several cameras in the city shops that they haven't used for years.
Well, I can't say that that's true about the camera usage, but I've talked to Chief Logan on this subject more than once, and the RCW will not allow us to have a sign like what you're talking about, because that's an idea I thought we could do. We can only have them at intersections for stop sign type violations and school zones. So we're kind of handcuffed there on that. I would love to have that, but we can't do it.
I don't live on Dolphin, but I at least go down Dolphin one time a day, if not more, and I definitely think there's been a change since you put in the 25-mile-an-hour things and the stop sign at the intersection. I think it's made a huge difference. I'm really against putting any of this other than more signage, but my biggest problem with some of the things such as these chicanes and choppers is, depending on where you're putting them, we have no street lights, and so at night, I find that's going to be really dangerous. I mean, it's hard to go down a street that has nothing on it right now with no street lights, and if we had all these other things, I think there'll be way more accidents than what we have right now in our city.
All right, thanks.
I live on Dolphin Avenue, and I agree with her, the signage and the stuff, because I don't want to drive over speed humps every single day. And it's mostly slowing down the people that are just cutting through, not the people that actually live there. And so it may work for slowing some people down, but I don't think it's the answer for it. That's just my opinion.
All right, thank you.
I live on Duck Lake Drive, and there's a massive problem there with speeding. And what they do is they'll get behind you and pass where you shouldn't be passing, and then they flip you off all the way up to the roundabout. And when you're walking your animals, the cars going back and forth, you end up in the ditch. You have to stop every 5 minutes on Duck Lake Drive because you cannot walk your animals. I had thought about the cameras too, like in the big cities, it catches the speeders and it makes a picture, and then the police or the courts enforce it. So I don't know what your feelings. I think cameras would be more feasible and more, financially better. This is a lot of money. It's almost like, because I've been here 24 years, and when they did not ask us to put in that roundabout. And we were all charged, every single house in Ocean Shores was levied before we had a meeting here with they brought in a mediator, was leaned before we could even talk about it, and so, I got a $5,000 lid, what they call the lid levy, and my neighbor, she got 40,000 because she sat on 5 lots. So I don't know what to say. Is this just trying to repair the roads that they did not do right in the first place? Because they failed.
Thanks, but no, it's to try to slow down the traffic. We hear from a lot of people that try to walk their dogs, try to walk in the mornings, and unfortunately a lot of drivers aren't very courteous, and they're speeding around people that are on the street, and we don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Go ahead.
There's two, Janine's two up front. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from Spokane, Washington, and my wife is. And they had a lot of problems with speeding, but what they did is, like you were talking about, they put those radar signs by the schools. But then they also put it in other areas. And they had the sign and everything, but they didn't send you a ticket, you know, because they, like you said, they're not allowed to, but they put them there anyway. And people going down the road, they see that, they don't know which one is real and which one is not real.
The cameras.
Yeah, the cameras. So they're gonna slow down no matter what.
All right, thanks.
I don't live on Mount Olympus or any of these streets, but I do mow yards in the summer, and trust me, I've been on Canal, put my life at stake there. I've been on Dolphin, I've been Duck Lake, Point Brown, they're crazy. We've gotta do something to stop these people, because every week I take my life in, it's in danger, because I don't know what idiot's gonna come and hit me. So if we put speed humps down, maybe that'll help. None of them seem to be able to read, because if they could, they'd read the speed limit. So there's the problem. I mean, we've gotta teach them basic reading. You know, 2.5 isn't too hard to figure out what it is, but maybe for some people it is. I live on Main Street, and there's one black car every single night.
He comes down Duck Lake too.
Well, he must be going 80 miles an hour. He's gonna hit a deer, he's gonna hit a person. I walk my dog, I don't walk him on the street, because you got these idiots that just think there's no speed limit. So something has to be done, but I'm not sure what. But maybe the speed humps will help. Tickets should help, because you get a high enough ticket, maybe you might even catch some dude who doesn't even need to be driving. There's an old guy on my street that should. He can't even stand up straight, he can't even see over the dashboard of his vehicle. Why is he driving?
That'd be between him and his doctor, I think.
It's already signed like somebody in an IGA parking lot and drove off. Only to find out that I saw it on Facebook, and I went down to his house and took a picture of his truck and sent it to her. Had all her paint on it, so he's still driving. Don't know.
Don't know what to say about that.
Over here. Right here.
Hi, I'm married to the squeaky wheel, and I picked up a lot of things listening to her and some of the research she's done. But I have a few thoughts on the subject of putting in the speed bumps, or humps, whatever they are. Dolphin, because it's not designed for heavy trucks, is now a washboard. And she was saying that some streets have put in the temporary prefabricated speed cushions, with the idea that eventually when the road is repaired, then it would then they would go back and put in the permanent ones. But it might also be a good experiment on the controlling the speed. And I walk Dolphin quite often, and I've noticed that when those cameras first went up, people would see them and slow down and keep going slow. Then I noticed they started taking off, drag strip once they got past the camera. And now some people are just driving through, they don't care what the camera says. The only other thing I wanted to throw in is that if we do have any kind of traffic control system, it might be useful to throw in to attach some kind of city ordinance sign that backs the police and also indicates what the city's rules are, the city code. And a lot of these streets, including Dolphin, should also have a go-through street type of a thing too, so that people don't think we're just another freeway. We're a small community and we don't need all that extra traffic. Well, that's all I can think of in a nutshell. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's really hard to hear from people who do not live on Dolphin because they're not seeing it and living it. And so it's just a little bit frustrating to hear things like that. They don't understand. They just say, no, we don't think you should do that, install anything, and they don't even live there, admittedly. Thank you.
Question, is Dolphin the main entrance for the golf club?
No.
That's Canal.
What is the main street for that?
Canal.
Canal.
That takes you right by the clubhouse.
What would happen, or would it be possible to say residential traffic only?
Sure, it'd be possible, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Sure, it'd be possible.
it seems like it might be a simple,
We got no truck traffic signs on Dolphin and they still just keep on driving through there.
okay, so that's,
Yeah. You'd like to think people would read the sign and okay it.
I think your radar truck is very effective. I'd like to see more of them.
Yeah.
I think we personally have a lot of good things that we can use here in town. Number one would be our radio and television station. I think if they were to post on there what the highest paid ticket last month for a truck going down Dolphin Avenue was, and these truck drivers find out they're gonna have a $250 ticket for driving down there, I think that might help quite a bit. And I also think that we need to post on there, if you're going 10 miles an hour over, that your ticket will be $100. If you're going 20 miles an hour over, it'll be $250, and post the graduation on it so they know when they go to court how much money to bring with them.
I like that idea, Jim. I don't know if the rates are set by the state or anything like that, so I'd have to talk with the chief about that.
Yeah, you can set the rates for the town. So I've done a little bit of research myself on some of this stuff. And the second thing that I think would really help on particularly Dolphin is if we took one of the old patrol cars that's been out of commission and maybe get hold of one of these stores that's got an old mannequin. And yeah,
I've seen that in Westport, actually. When I was late to the getting on the boat and thought I was gonna get a ticket.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's the avenue I think I would take on it. And I would also advertise on the radio and the television that we're trying to be a safe town for the people that live here and also for the tourists. Bring your children, enjoy the town, walk the streets, enjoy it. And get the people thinking that way. I mean, when you go to Disneyland, you expect to see Mickey Mouse.
All right, thanks. Oh, I'm sorry.
So, was there any cost looked into, like the temporary speed cushions, and the reason I'm asking is because I think we've all determined if you put the speed cushions on Dolphin, it's gonna push them to Canal, you know, and so on, to where I know they do have the ones, from, the research, they have the ones that are movable, that you can move to different streets and things like that. So I guess questions about that would be the longevity, the cost, and if any of that's been looked into or not.
But we know the cost, they are cheaper. I don't know how well they'll hold up, but they do have an advantage that you could move them around, you know, from street to street, I guess, on that.
I've been listening to all of these people on.
Hold on a second.
Oh, I thought he was through, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The plastic ones have to be bolted down, and so we're not sure how that'll hold up with asphalt, because I've tried to attach pipe and different things in my career to asphalt, and it just busts out when you start tightening up a fastener on there, so. Anyway, go ahead.
Everybody was talking about a lot of traffic on their streets, Dolphins, the Canal and stuff. Well, we live on Otsego, and there's several pickups and carpenters and people that go by there so fast, by the time I get up to see who they are, they're gone. And we live on a dead-end street. But anyway, I'm gonna try to fix that myself if I can't get anything else done. But this night driving on that, will they be, the paint that you're talking about on the stripping, the stripes?
Yeah, we're looking into that. That was, that came up at our last town hall, and we all thought that was an excellent idea to, you know, put that reflective fog line on the roads.
Good. Well, anyway, then, the last thing, and I'll be quiet. On the signs, put signs up, speed limit 25, fines double in this area because it's a residential area, or whatever. Make it a double fine when you get caught.
Okay.
Or call me. I'm the old guy.
Thank you. I'd just like to go further than Jim, who was suggesting that the radio station be putting the information out. At some of the larger facilities, there are signs that are put up that say, we've gone this many days without an accident. How about at the gates, we have a really big sign that says, this is how much money has been collected for our fines for speeding this week or today. They're not going to listen to the radio, but if they see the sign when they come in, and before I give up the microphone, as we're talking about public safety and on the streets, I would ask that the council and the mayor think about having an ordinance that prohibits people from riding bicycles with their dogs leashed on our streets. It's incredibly dangerous, as you have nowhere to go when there's a car coming. Neither do you have anywhere to go when somebody is pulling a dog or the dog is pulling the bicycle and you are there with your dogs on leashes. I would love somebody to really look into that. Skateboards as well, and the other devices that they ride. Very, very, very unsafe on our roads. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? I mean,
Just a few comments. First of all, I really do like all of the tourists that come in town. We smile and talk to each other, and I know some of the people that have been here a while maybe have a little different attitude with them, but get the tourists coming in. The light paint that you talked about would be a tremendous asset on the roads. Most of the people that are speeding don't read and don't care, and it would be nice if we could, I know it's expensive, but hire a person that can sit out there and legally give tickets every day. I don't know what that would be, if they have to be a police officer, or I have no idea. But somebody, and it's not that we don't like everybody that comes in. A lot of the speeders are our own residents, and they seem to think that over the years they have the right to do this, or who cares? Well, we do care, and I'm pretty sure most of us wouldn't mind seeing them getting a ticket or two, and letting the word pass around. From experience, don't speed in ocean shores.
all right, thanks.
I put car at the end. Here you go.
I just want to know, if somebody's speeding down the road and you took a movie of them, let's say with your phone, can the police tell that they're speeding? Can they tell that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
And
No.
they can't give a ticket or here's a. Oh, I forgot I was working.
We might consider maybe too, while we talked about signage, is just maybe it'd be, as you're first turning into the city, have a good size sign there that says speed limits in the city of Ocean Shores is strictly enforced. If it's big enough, you'll be able to read it.
That's easy.
Whatever.
No, that's not a bad idea.
Right. So I don't have a problem with more stop signs. I don't think we got enough of them. I think that might help. But also I was talking to Chief Logan tonight about those flashing radar signs that when you go by one and it's flashing really bright, you know you've been nabbed. And she said there's an ordinance or something that says we can't have those. Can you explain to everybody why we can't have that type of radar?
As far as writing tickets, Chief Logan and I talked about this probably the first week I was on the job, and there's an RCW that you can only do it at intersections for stop, and you can do it at school zones. That's the only places that it's allowed right now.
What's an
Is that in
RCW?
Washington, guys?
RCW, yeah.
Can you clarify what an RCW is, please?
Revised Code of Washington.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's not within the city to change?
No, it's a state law.
Gotcha, thank you.
I know WAC better because I was an electrician. Anybody else got questions? Got another one?
So I really appreciate all of the comments that have been made. I really appreciate this gentleman came from Tequila, and I firmly believe that enforcement is the key. And an idea that I think is worth exploring is if we could borrow sheriffs or cops from other adjoining communities, when we pay them overtime, and bring in a group of cops and have days where we have a periodic abundance of not our paid employees, but overtime from other communities, and write those tickets, 4 miles an hour over the speed limit, ticket. And we'll, very quickly, the word will get out, don't speed in Ocean Shores. And if we do that periodically, when your insurance rate goes up after you've had 2 tickets, you're not gonna speed in Ocean Shores anymore. So that's just an idea I invite you and Becky and Chief Logan to kick around. I don't know if that's legal or not, so it's just an idea.
Well, we have officers come in and help us when we're shorthanded. They're all on overtime. I can tell you that this city spent almost $500,000 in overtime. So we're really trying to find other alternative methods to do this. And it would be cheaper for us to put an additional full-time traffic cop on than to pay the overtime. So we're trying to get away from that. But I agree that it'd be nice to have somebody that's dedicated to just traffic. So, and Chief Logan and I have talked about that also.
If anybody's been to Seabrook lately, you'll notice that they've got the whole highway through there speed bumped and slowed down, and people are doing it, they're slowing down, and that's a state highway, and it's working there.
All right, thanks. And also, I just want to say one thing here. We want you to write your comments down. There's cards in the back if you haven't done that yet. What you'd like to see or what you'd like to see us do different that's not on that card. So there's a spot for comments too. So please take the time to fill one of those out. Chief Logan.
Good evening.
I just want to let everyone know, we do have officers working overtime for speed emphasis patrols. Right now, have been since about the first of the year. Actually, about the last part of December, we've been doing it at least once, twice a week. We've got officers out there running speed traffic patrol. And I just did a conditional offer with a lateral officer that is very, very interested and excited about becoming a traffic patrol officer, because my whole vision of our department is once I get my current positions filled, I will not only have a detective, but I will also have an officer dedicated to traffic control in the city. So that is my ultimate plan, but I do need more officers also along the way to also help do that, but that is the plan.
Thanks, Chief. Anybody else would like to comment?
Maybe I'm the last one, and I can leave you with a little bit of humor. So those of us who live here, when we're heading somewhere like to IGA, and it's incredibly important we get there doing the speed limit, and the person in front of us who is a tourist has stopped because they're a deer. Why don't we have signs that just say deer ahead, and they'll all be going slowly looking for them?
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, when a ticket is issued, how much of that revenue, does it all stay with the city? Can we apply that to sidewalks? Does it go somewhere else?
Chief Logan can answer that.
It's actually really a very small percentage that stays in the city. Most of it goes to the state. Now, let me kind of go on the side of that. Currently, we do not have the traffic RCWs adopted into our ordinance. If we can do that, adopted into our ordinance, then the majority of that money will stay in the city. So that's something to think about for changing.
That's good to know.
So I'm glad you said that, so I hope all council members were listening to that. I do have a question for Chief Logan, if she's still available back there. The idea about sitting in the cul-de-sacs and radaring and just sitting in radaring, is that all legal, or is there a new law now that we cannot do that?
Police dummies, they're legal.
Well, I'm not talking just the dummies, but somebody sitting in the cul-de-sacs and radaring it. Okay.
She wants to know if that's legal, Chief.
As a citizen?
No, as an officer in a cul-de-sac.
To have an officer sit in a cul-de-sac, it's usually not cost effective to have, to pay the officers to sit in the cul-de-sacs, because there's usually not that much traffic. When the officers are on the overtime patrols for traffic emphasis, I require them to make 3 stops an hour. They usually can't get that sitting in a cul-de-sac. But to justify their time out there, I need to have them out there and being active and actually making stops.
Well, we're talking about signs, and so one of the things where I came from before I came down here in the Black Diamond, Covington, Auburn area, they had signs that said patrolled by radar. And so that always caught my attention when I was driving, so that may be something that we can put out. We'll have to have, Chief Logan have some officers there from time to time, but, that can be effective too. Anybody got any other comments or questions they'd like to ask? I guess we'll wrap this up then. I appreciate everybody coming, and I appreciated everybody's comments, and we'll definitely take all that into consideration and share with you some more ideas that we have on that. And if you haven't filled out the card there in the back, please do so, because we're relying on that information from all of you. Thanks for coming.